Wednesday, April 12th, and I'm Mark Friedman, just an American citizen. Love our country. It's a beautiful day out. No notes, no sense. But we're going to title this video, The Ugly American. When I was growing up, we were looked at as the ugly Americans when people went overseas, but they looked at us as tourists. Big mouth Americans, spending money, weird clothes with the cameras, taking pictures everywhere, dressing weird. And that's how they looked at us, the rest of the world. But it morphed into something much more radical, much heavier, where the hate has turned, where it's turned into major hate of the United States. And let's look what's going on. We've called all this Cold War 2.0, started it, a couple years ago talking about it. Now I've been kind of moving it to Warm War 2.0 because it's getting hot. And as the world's starting to split apart, and you have the bipolar, I don't think it's multipolar, bipolar world led by China and its compadres, Russia, North Korea, and Iran. And then we have the United States on the other side with our friends, basically Western, Eastern Europe, and some countries in Asia, Japan, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand's a friend, Philippines, and some others that are out there. But most of the world is against us. And while we've been running around convinced all these 30, 40, 50, 60 years that we are the shining light on the hill, Russia and China have been changing. Russia exploded, was destroyed in the USSR, but came back and became very close in the last, 4 or 5 years. Xi and Putin have met 20 sometimes and have been focusing on how do you bring down the United States. And so they work on the rest of the world. They work on the resentment the rest of the world had on the United States. Why would the rest of the world resent us? Ever heard of Vietnam, which led to lots of killings in Cambodia and Laos, and Pol Pot arose out of one of them, and just had so many people, innocent people, killed for no reason. We were over there. What were we doing in Iraq? Because President Bush's father, first President Bush, #1, had a missile fired at him? We had no business in Iraq. Afghanistan, we had our chance to take down bin Laden, for some reason didn't do it, and then all of a sudden became a nation builder. So then we sit there and the rest of the world looks at us. Look at the United States in these countries, taking over these countries, putting in all this money, killing all these innocent people and going nowhere with it. When we finally do the right thing in Ukraine, but the rest of the world has looked at us and seen where we are. So now Russia and China has been going in. Russia went into Africa, and they've been using the Wagner group in there. They brought in South Africa to do military maneuvers with them. They're working. India is still working with Russia. They always have. And they're working. India may be the biggest country in the world now, population-wise. Egypt, where we send billions of dollars, was now sending in, was about to sell weapons to the Russians because they send some grain. Because you can't trust where people are going in the Middle East. Saudi Arabia is making deals with China, and Saudi Arabia is now bringing together, which hopefully will make for more peace, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and UAE. But I think it's going to lead to other problems because now you've got them deciding how they're going to break up the Middle East. Where is this all going to lead? Where does the United States? The United States is we keep thinking we're the country on the hill. When those that act like they love our country, those Americans, the leaders that act like they love our country, they are the ones that are trying to tear our country down, tear our institutions down. And then you have other people in the country that just don't like our institutions, and they're glad to tear it down on their own. And the rest of the world looks at us, and the leaders of that new polar group over there, the Chinese group, are saying it's easy to take the United States down now. Who cares? So they work us down, and they are working us hard. So we are torn up internally, whether it's because of ourselves, social media, whatever you want to do it. I think it's because of ourselves. And we are torn down internally, and the rest of the world's looking at us going, shh. We can't trust the United States. Africa's out the door, or most of Africa's out the door. South America, he's down there with Brazil. So you see all this going on, of course, with Cuba. So the rest of the world is just kind of saying we're going to take the United States on, and we have to understand that we can't trust most of them. And we're going to have to become what I've been saying for so long, where we are putting in big money into our technology, major money, major investments, and our defense to be ready, because the rest of the world is just saying we are easy pickings and they're after us. And you don't understand. They all think China's the winner. They're all going to be using the yuan. China just works it. They're smart. They send Russia in to lose all their people and make them dependent on China, and then they give China all the gas and oil that they need while they sacrifice their people. That's what's going on. And as we start settling into this East Berlin, West Berlin type of thing, we're going to have to know, are we going to be the West Berlin side and be strong? Yeah, we stand up for ideas, but we can't even stand up for our own ideas in our country. We have to now look at where we are versus the rest of the world, and we are in a very precarious position. Open your eyes. We've got to deal with this. I'm going to start breaking down China and Russia and those in the following of videos. But look at it now. We are the ugly Americans. That's how the great majority of the world looks at us. And unfortunately, so many people in our own country looks at us that way. We've got to start shaking things up.